Good evening, I'm Daniel Anthony and you are watching KiniFlash. PKR Vice President Zuraida Kamaruddin said that the party president Anwar Ibrahim should be magnanimous and accept her request for what she calls a reconciliation meeting. Now, Anwar had initially brushed off the idea of holding these reconciliation meetings on the grounds that Zuraida and Azmin Ali, who is the party deputy president, can air their grievances during regular political bureau or central leadership council meetings. Zuraida told the media yesterday that a separate meeting was necessary because the matters that needed to be discussed were serious and sensitive.
Kita nak bertemu ya. Jadi saya ingat apa ni PM8 kena berjiwa besar lah.
YB akan datang ke mesyuarat yang akan datang.
Nah, saya perlukan adakan mesyuarat itu dahulu awal dulu.
So what are these reconciliation meetings about? Well, prior to this, Zuraida has been pressing Anwar for the meeting following the revelation that since the party polls last year, PKR Deputy President Azmin Ali and his followers have been skipping important party functions such as the party's weekly political bureau and the monthly Central Leadership Council meetings. Now, when asked about Zuraida's request today, this is what Wan Azizah Wan Ismail had to say.
You know about the conflict between Zuraida and Anwar. What do you think about it?
Come to the meeting. Thank you. YB Zuraida Kamaruddin.
The criminal trial of former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak involving the alleged abuse of power and money laundering of 1MDB funds enters its 11th day at the High Court in Kuala Lumpur. Today, its former 1MDB Executive Officer Shahrul Asral Ibrahim Halmi, who helmed the troubled Sovereign Wealth Fund for 4 years from 2009's turn to take the stand as a witness. In his statement, Shahrul revealed that businessperson Low Tek Jo or Joe Low had represented both the Terengganu state and the federal government in Terengganu Investment Authority or TIA meetings. However, Joe Low had no formal position in the Wealth Fund. He also testified that based on his own observations during TIA meetings, Low could directly contact Najib, who was then the Deputy Prime Minister, on the phone to seek Najib's guidance and advice. The Election Commission will be having a special meeting next week on the 1st of October to discuss the date of the parliamentary by-election for Tanjung Piai in Johor. Yes, we have another by-election on the horizon as the seat has become vacant following the death of the incumbent MP Dr. Mat Farid Mat Rafiq last Saturday. Mat Farid, who at the time of his death was a Bersatu member and also a deputy minister in the Prime Minister's department, passed away from a heart attack at the Pontian Hospital. He was 42. He won the Tanjung Piai seat in the 14th general election last year with a majority of just 524 votes, beating Wee Jek Seng of Barisan Nasional MCA and Nordin Othman of PAS. Around 600 people joined the Malaysian climate strike in Kuala Lumpur on Saturday, marching from the Sogo shopping complex to the Sultan Abdul Samad building in Dataran Merdeka. Organized by climate justice group Kilma Action Malaysian or Kilma, along with international NGOs Greenpeace and Amnesty International, the climate strike had 11 demands. Among them were for investigations and stern action into the corporations that contributed to the ongoing haze crisis that's blanketing Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, bans on government-linked companies from working with companies contributing to the haze, and a new transboundary haze law. The climate strike in the capital took place amidst a global youth-driven protest against inaction over environmental destruction. And now we turn to look at some global news headlines. Over in Switzerland, concerns over climate change have also led activists to make a statement. On Sunday, several climate activists staged a funeral for an alpine glacier that they say will be lost forever to global warming. Located 8,500 feet above sea level, on the border between Switzerland and Austria is the Pisol Glacier. Over the weekend, a group of several dozen climate activists hiked up the mountain to pay their last respects to the slowly disappearing alpine glacier, which they say will be lost forever due to global warming.
This glacier is a symbol that glaciers are disappearing, that the ice is melting in the Alps. We cannot save this glacier, but there are many other glaciers that we can potentially save by protecting the climate. The bigger glaciers, they can still be saved, but also in a smaller size.
As a man plays an Alp horn, the hikers dressed in black held a funeral for what remains of the glacier, the little patches of white against the mountain. The funeral for the glacier takes place on the significant weekend where millions of young people united to call for urgent action on climate change, inspired by teenage Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg, who addressed a massive crowd at Lower Manhattan in New York.
We all live here. It affects all of us.
and we will not just stand aside and watch. We are united behind the science, and we will do everything in our power to stop this crisis from getting worse.
Among the calls for urgent action to combat climate change were also demonstrations calling out US President Donald Trump and Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, two world leaders who will not be participating in next week's United Nations Climate Summit. And over in Hong Kong, civil unrest has escalated further in the Special Administrative Region, with police firing tear gas on Sunday to break up pro-democracy protesters who trashed fittings at a railway station and a shopping complex. Demonstrations in Hong Kong have escalated further over the weekend, with some demonstrators becoming violent in the town of Sha Tin in the New Territories. This man, who is believed to have cursed at demonstrators, was assaulted by a mob. The latest escalation is just a week shy of the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China, which falls on the 1st of October. What began as peaceful opposition to a controversial extradition bill, which would allow China to extradite individuals to face trial in their courts, has since grown to become a display of anger against what the protesters see as creeping Chinese interference in Hong Kong. Demonstrators occupied a shopping center to call for a boycott of businesses seen as pro-Beijing, with some of them then trampling on a flag of the People's Republic before they trashed the mall and the adjacent subway station until the police fired tear gas at the entrance of the shopping center. The protesters returned fire by hurling bricks that they dug up from the pathways and setting fire to cardboard barricades and other debris outside the mall. Meanwhile, Beijing has said that it is committed to the one country, two systems formula for Hong Kong and accused foreign governments such as the United States and Great Britain of orchestrating the unrest. And before we wrap up, here are several other news highlights from today. And that's all we have time for today, ladies and gentlemen. For more stories, log on to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and Daily Motion, and also YouTube for the latest news. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching.